Good day. It's aging Maven aficionado Amy K. Gaskin here again on Ask Amy About Aging. And once again, I am joined with Deborah Shouse, author of An Old Woman Walked into a Bar. And I love that book. But she's back
Thank
with us
you.
today. So she's written many books. So I'm very blessed to have her back with us today. So welcome once again, Deborah. So why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Yes, well, thank you. Well, I am particularly happy to be here with you because one of my passions is connecting with care partners and helping them on that journey, which is such a vital, loving, exhausting, spiritual, beautiful journey. It's a mixture of so many
Right.
things. And so this is that what we're talking about today about building care connections seems very vital to me, not only just from my own experiences as a care partner, but from experience with friends and people I've worked with. That feeling of isolation that is so easy to come upon you as you are a hero trying to take care of a person you love, and you can do it because you are a strong, resilient person.
Yes,
And
you
yes,
can.
you can do it, but it's more fun and it's healthier to reach out to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a practice. I think it's hard for people to do, but that's one of the things I wanted to talk with you about because
Wonderful.
I've heard so many people in the last several months say, I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do. Um, my kids can't help me, they're too busy. Um, and so one of the things that I did that really helped me when I was a care partner was I made a list of 10 things that I could do in 10 minutes each, sometimes 5 minutes, and cheer myself up or
Okay.
renew myself. So, and I just carried that list with me wherever. So they were really, everybody's going to have a different list, but
Right.
on mine were read a couple pages of a magazine,
Mhm.
start a crossword puzzle, eat a piece of dark chocolate,
I
dance
love
to a
dark
piece of,
chocolate.
thank you, dance to a piece of favorite music. Really, so stand outside in the sun and you spread my arms. Really simple things, but that renewed me. So I
Right.
think that's one thing you can do as a care partner just to start paying attention to your wonderful self.
Mhm.
Another thing is to make a list in the ideal world. If you could have all the help you wanted and still have the gift of getting to take care of your person, what
Mhm.
kind of help would you like?
Right.
And so a lot of times we've all had the experience of seeing a friend who needs help and saying, "What can I do?" And they said, "Oh, nothing, I don't need anything," or "I don't know." And so we need to be prepared when a loving person says, "How can I help you?"
Right.
So thinking about what would really be helpful. Sometimes it's having someone come over for a visit, just the energy of another person.
Right.
Um, Maybe help with a meal, somebody
Mhm.
bringing over a meal or coming into your kitchen and cooking with you.
Right.
Sometimes it's sitting with your beloved for a little while you go outside and either run errands or take a walk, exercising with you, either indoors or out. Um,
And do not feel guilty when you ask for help. So that's what so many people are afraid to ask for help. They're afraid to say, okay, well, if I tell someone I need them to come over and sit with my loved one for an hour, I'm failing. And that's not true, is it?
It's not true. And I'm so glad you brought that up because, Amy, I think you'll agree with me, and so will our listeners. I love to help somebody. So if I
Mhm.
have a friend in need, it frustrates me if I can't think of some way to help. And if
Right.
that person says, "Hey, you can bring me a meal," or "Hey, you can do this for an hour," or "You can help me make a phone call," or "You can run and get me some groceries," I'm like happy. I'm
Exactly.
happy. So when you think about that, I'm really glad you brought that up because I think we all tend to feel like this. I don't want to intrude. I should be doing this by myself. You shouldn't be, because other people really benefit from getting to be part of it. And the person you are caring for benefits,
Right.
not only because you have more of a support circle, but so do they.
Exactly.
So,
I was talking to a gentleman today, and he said that he had a whole bunch of people that used to come to the senior center, and their families made them stop for COVID, and now they're sick all the time, and they don't get out of the house except to go to doctor's appointments. They're lonely, and they're not getting any exercises or anything. And it's connection is so important on so many different levels. So when those people can't get out of the house, going to visit them is huge.
yes,
And just to do something with them, even taking them for a walk. If someone's in a wheelchair, they need to go walk around the neighborhood, or even just sitting in the backyard with them for a few minutes. When a caregiver needs you to, sit with their loved one, it's not because they failed, it's because their loved one needs other people too.
that's right. And, in this sense, we're so lucky these days, Amy, because of just what we're doing, Zooming and
Mm-hmm.
having connection with people, even if it's not in person, it still counts. And it's
Yes.
still another energy coming into your lives and seeing both of you. What I had two really fabulous offers during the time I was really worn out from helping with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
One person said this to me, "Tell me about your mom. Tell me about your mom." And so I did.
Yeah. And it
And
just feels good, to be able to talk about
yes,
someone.
because you're focused on, a person who needs help, but there's a whole other life and person behind that. And to talk about it is really renewing.
Right.
So that's something I think all care partners need, is that invitation to tell me how you guys met, or tell me, what you liked, anything like that. So we all need people to ask us questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is to come have a visit together.
Yeah.
Because that person, the new person, is going to see things in the person you know so well that you may have forgotten about. You may be tired of them.
Yes. Yes.
You may take them for granted. That person is going to see them in a whole new way. And that brings the person who's going through a lot of stuff extra energy, attention. It also brings the same to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea of having a lovely list written down that you can go to. I love the idea of even reaching out to good friends and family members to say, here are some of the things I could use help with. If you
Mm-hmm.
know of anybody who would enjoy offering this help, it may be them,
Yeah.
let me know, and do it in the gentlest way. But I know for myself that when people have offered to help me, I have loved it. And when people let me know what they need for help, I love it.
Yeah,
I
I like to
truly
help
love it.
others too. And I keep telling I have a friend who has a special needs sister, and I keep telling her, I said, if you need a break, let me know. So she did take me up on it. She recently had surgery, and I actually sat with her in the hospital when she had to go back. We waited 6.5 hours. But yeah, we had a lovely time, and we made the most of it.
Yes.
And asking for help is okay. And you can't do it all yourself, no matter, especially if you're going through something yourself. And so having that is huge, and people want to help you. They do.
Yes, that's right. So
Yeah.
I think, one way to look at it is you may be thinking, I'm asking for a favor, but you could also think, I'm offering a gift.
Mm-hmm.
A gift for somebody to spend a tiny little bit of their time and do something so meaningful to two other people.
Right.
That's a big deal.
It is a huge deal. It is a huge deal. And, it's just like I said before, I believe when we were talking, it's important to know who your care circle is. Who are people
Yeah.
that you can count on? And if you're a senior and you're listening to this and you're thinking, gee, I don't have a care circle. Well, think about your neighbors and friends. And the phone works two ways. Okay. So you can call out and they can call in. If they're not
Yes.
calling in, you don't have to be stubborn and just sit around. Call out. I will tell you the older generation wants you to call them. And I will tell you the younger generation is so busy right now, they forget to call people. And it's not that they don't
Yes.
want to.
Yes.
They just, it's not like it was back in the olden days,
No.
It's just different. So the phone works two ways, call your neighbors, even if you're not doing too much, the simple things, make a couple of sandwiches and a pot of tea, or grab some cookies out and invite your neighbor over. My cousin started recently inviting his neighbors over. They're all seniors. They're all about 10 or 15 years older than him, and they're having the best time. They're cooking. They cook a meal and they invite them over, and so it's a way for my cousin to feel better, and it's a way for those people to get out of their house. I mean, you can invite the neighbors over. We used to do that back in the day, and so people are not doing that anymore. When I first moved to the neighborhood, the gentleman 2 doors down, I borrowed a ladder from him, and he said, "I'm from New Hampshire," and he said the woman down the end of the street's from New Hampshire. And she has MS, and she rides. You'll notice her, Amy, because she'll go up and down the street every day walking her dog in her motorized wheelchair. And I have friended her. But she supposedly makes these fire pits in the fall and the winter here, and in the driveway, and invites the neighbors over. But I haven't figured out when she's doing it.
Oh, no.
But that doesn't mean I can't do it.
Yes.
So, sit out in the front driveway, invite your neighbors over, meet your neighbors, do stuff. Don't sit in the house. And if you're taking care of a loved one, maybe they have memory loss and you're burning out, you need the neighbors just as much as your mother and father does, or your loved one does. So ask for help, do things, and get the connection that you need, and the stimulation you need, and the break you need.
Beautifully said. The other thing that a lot of people like, I have a friend who's fabulous at this, sending cards. It's an old-fashioned thing to do, but receiving a card in the mail is still a delight.
It is. I love it. Everybody loves to receive mail, and I keep telling my kids, when your grandmother and your aunt send you stuff, you need to write a handwritten letter back.
Yes.
And they're like, well, I can just text her. And yet I will tell you, when they get a card or something in the mail, and it's not a card, whether somebody just writes "Love Amy," that's not exciting. You want to write a message,
Yes.
I know that when my cousin and I, my cousin Brian and I were very close growing up. And when I went away to high school, my senior year, we wrote letters back and forth every week. We could have called, which we did every now and then, but we even stuck the pen in the envelope. And so we wrote with the same pen back and forth.
Oh,
so we had this weird thing, but he and I, it was like, whatever I got it, there was no excuse, because I had a pen and I could write back right away. And so, and that meant a lot. I actually kept those letters. I kept every letter that my friends and family wrote me when I was away at school my senior year. So, but writing is very important. It's another way to connect. And, the older people love it. Yeah. They love it as much as everybody, but they love it even more.
Well, I have one more quick thing, if we still have a moment.
Oh, we have another minute at least.
Enrichment. So we all have friends who have a talent or an expertise in some area. And that's another thing. You can invite somebody over, like you have a friend who's a poet, to give you a little poetry reading, or talk a poem with you. Or sometimes, if people are interested in art, to just bring an art book over and look at a couple pictures together. And
or do an art project together.
Yeah, or do a project, craft or art project together. Yes. Or if you have musician friends or kids, in the neighborhood who are taking dance or piano, all of those kind of entertainment. People who have a gift love to perform and share it. And to have a little salon in your house is a fabulous thing. So that's another thing you can do that takes people very little time and yet raises energy and joy and brings you together.
Yes, I remember when I was growing up, we used to perform for the relatives at different holidays. I remember particularly the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we would go up to cut our Christmas tree down. and we had many families there, and all the kids would get together, do a performance for everybody.
I love it.
Yeah, and then of course when we moved, when we bought a house full of mold and had to move back to New Hampshire with my 3 adopted children and my husband in tow, we moved back home. The girls stood on the fireplace hearth and performed songs and everything, and we would dance together. And so those things meant a lot to my mother, and they meant a lot, and so now, to the point now that when my mother calls, when the grandkids were living, they would living here with me. We would we would dance with my mother. My mother likes to dance at 7:00 to New York, New York. But with and so they would get on there and kick the letter. So we're doing a video conference with her, and so even though she couldn't be there with them, they were dancing together before bed. And then they read stories together, and that meant so much to my mother because she lives alone.
Yeah.
And so it's very important to stay connected and give them entertainment. And she used to love to read stories via the video to the kids. She would get a book and show the pictures, and the kids would get all in their beds and all snuggly. And even though she couldn't be here, it was like she was here because they could see her and hear her. Yeah.
Well, you're illustrating that famous quote, "All the world's a stage." And that includes our living rooms and our sidewalks and our, driveways. There's so many ways we can share those gifts with other people.
Yes. Well, thanks again for coming on my show, and I look forward to having you on again. This has been Aging Maven aficionado Amy K. Gaskin, once again with Deborah Shouse, and we were talking about care connections, meaningful connections, and ways to help care providers and family caregivers, etc., and to make those that we care for and love feel included and refreshed. So thanks again, Deborah.
It's a pleasure.
All right, this has been another episode of Ask Amy About Aging. Have a great day.